If Deku had a half air, half water quirk, part 2. Now, before I start this what if off, don't ask questions about there not being a quirk in the title and it just says, what if Deku had a half air, half water? Question mark part 2. I just think it looks better without the quirk there, so that's why I did it without there being the word quirk there, as I just thought it would make it look a little bit weird. Now, getting into this what if, Izuku, after seeing his cousin Shoto Todoroki being driven off by the ambulance, Izuku would start to walk back to his parents' house where he would be staying. I mean, he's only like 14 or 15. He's just finished middle school. He's not even in high school yet, so he can't live by himself. So Izuku would be walking back as All Might would then appear out of nowhere, as Izuku would be staring up at All Might as All Might would say, "Ha, young Todoroki, I've deemed you worthy of my quirk. Throughout the years I've been searching for somebody to be my successor, and your act of heroism today has proven that you are worthy of becoming All Might, as you can now be my successor." Little bit weird of words there, that's my bad, guys. All Might would smile down at Izuku as Izuku would just be lost for words. Here he was just standing out on the sidewalk as All Might had offered Izuku to become the successor of his quirk. Izuku would be lost for words as he would just start muttering to himself, wondering if he should say yes or no. As Izuku would then stare up at All Might and would then speak. "But All Might, I have a very powerful quirk already. Why not give your quirk to somebody else, maybe who needs it, like a quirkless person?" "Well," All Might would start answering Izuku, as All Might would then continue. "Well, actually, somebody who's quirkless will have a much harder time learning how to use my quirk, as it is quite hard, and I've seen that you've already trained quite a while. So, since I see you've already started to train, I think you'd be able to handle my quirk up to around 10% of its fullest power." Izuku would then be dumbfounded again. He just thought All Might was going to train him. Well, I think I might have fumbled my words there if Izuku said, "Why not give your quirk to somebody else?" Just forget about that if I said that. Izuku would be just lost for words. "Wait, you'd give me a quirk? I thought that was impossible. I thought you were only born with the quirk you had. I thought you were just going to train me or something." "Well, Izuku, why don't you think? I can train a quirkless person, but I could give my quirk to you and train you. You could be very capable of becoming the number one hero one day, and I think my quirk would only enhance that. You'll probably be able to save hundreds of thousands of people in your lifetime, if you take my quirk, that is." Izuku would then smile up at All Might and would then accept. He would say, "Alright, All Might, I guess I'll accept your quirk." As All Might would smile and laugh, as he would then pluck a hair out of his head and look down at Izuku, pointing it towards him, to where he would say, "Eat this," just like it happened in the anime, as Izuku would then just look at All Might's hair that was just plucked from his head, as it was shining and glistening in the wind, being golden. Izuku would wonder why All Might was being crazy and what happened to All Might. He seemed just fine a minute ago, and now he sounded like he was insane. He wanted Izuku to eat his hair, and that would somehow transfer his quirk between him and then to Izuku. Izuku would take the hair and eat it, to which he would then try not to throw up, as he would then just look at All Might saying, "Was that a joke? Did I really have to do that? That was quite a weird way of, you know, transferring a quirk." "Oh, it's nothing. That's the only way I know how to do it, as that's how my master gave me this quirk." Izuku would then be dumbfounded again. "Wait, so are you quirkless? Because you've only had a strength quirk, and I'm guessing this is some type of strength quirk, right?" To which All Might would then say, yes, I was actually corkless as a child before getting this cork. But that's besides the point. Get home, Izuku, as tomorrow starting 6 a.m. I'll be training you. And I know your parents, Hisashi and Todoroki. I've already spoke to them after seeing your act of heroism, and they know I'll be training you. Alright, get home, Izuku, All Might would say as Izuku would rush back to his house, hopeful that he wasn't going to be late for dinner as he was quite hungry after using his quirk to defeat that villain. Once he would get home, his parents would congratulate him about getting to train with All Might and all that. All Might didn't tell them about the successor part, just that Izuku had proven himself worthy of being trained by the almighty number one hero, as Hisashi looked up to All Might the most, and since All Might was the number one hero while his brother Enji Todoroki was only the number two hero, he just saw this as a little just punch in the face or something like that, an insult to his brother, seeing as Izuku is now training under the number one hero, just even more signifying that Izuku is going to become a greater hero than Todoroki. Izuku would be walking down onto the beach where All Might had told him to meet. As Izuku would get there, Izuku would then ask All Might a question. Can, my cousin, the person I saved, Todoroki, train with us? I think it'd be quite beneficial to both of us, as he also has a very strong quirk as well. All Might would say. Well, I guess you can. It'll only help in the long run. As Izuku would then ask to go to Todoroki's house to ask Endeavor the question. Izuku would knock on their door as Endeavor or Enji Todoroki would answer and would look down at Izuku, as he would laugh, saying, you finally came to train with me instead of your old father, haven't you? To which Izuku would shake his head and would then ask if Todoroki and them could go spar, as Izuku wants to train with Todoroki for the next 10 months, trying to train for the UA entrance exam. Endeavor would think quite quickly and would say, alright, you can train with him. As Enji or Endeavor, I'm going to be calling him Endeavor from now on, would then yell up to Todoroki and tell him to get his ass down here and that he was going to train with Izuku. As Izuku would be waiting at the door, as Todoroki would walk down and would then come outside with Izuku, as they would then get a sizable distance away from Todoroki's house, as Izuku would tell Todoroki why he made him come outside. They're actually going to be training with All Might, and that they're going to be training for the UA entrance exam. Todoroki just had stars in his eyes, thinking of how the best way he could spite his old dad is by training with his arch rival, being All Might. But Izuku made him promise to not tell Endeavor, as that would cause him to not be able to go and train. He could tell him after the entrance exam and after he made it in the UA, however. The next months would pass with Izuku training with One for All and his air and water quirk, with Todoroki training with his fire and ice quirk with All Might on the beach. Both of them would get fairly strong and would become much stronger than they are in the actual anime. Izuku would then be walking up into the UA campgrounds and into the just selected area for all of the recommended students. They will be given a whole city with the people they have to rescue from the robots, so it adds a whole nother level. These guys are recommended students after all, and they should be prepared for something like this. They are ahead of all others, so they should at least have some knowledge about how to save someone and how to keep them calm. Now, from there, they would be told this, but before that, they would have to take a test, and if they pass, they would be able to go and take that robot test, or the rescue robot test. Now, all of the students would end up passing, allowing for them to take the rescue robot test, as they would then be lined up into a hallway. Izuku and Todoroki would be there as the doors would open, and both Izuku and Todoroki would rush out. This is where President Mike would tell them that they need to run and go start rescuing the civilians while also defeating the robots, and that's how they get points, and they shouldn't just be told that. They should be able to figure out the situation at hand within a moment's notice, as the rest of them would rush out, as Izuku and Todoroki, having trained for 10 months together, would already be fairly powerful together, as they would form a team, easily taking down robots while rescuing other people or other civilians. This is much like the hero or the Quirk licensing exam, as they had to rescue civilians while keeping them calm and away from the danger of the robots. As Izuku would be doing this, so the other people wouldn't actually want to help anybody else, as they saw if they did, they would lose points that they could get for themselves, which would actually cause them to lose points for not working together. They are basically sacrificing lives just to get points to try and get into UA, even though no one's going to die. So, Izuku would see this and would just smirk to himself and would continue working together with Todoroki and would save as many people as they possibly could. Now, once the exam final horn would just blast over the intercoms, they would be told that they can go home and that their scores will be calculated, and they will be told what class they have or will be put into. Izuku and Todoroki would get a letter in the mail 2 weeks later, Izuku and Todoroki both being put in Class 1A, as they would both smile to each other, knowing that they will be in the same class and they can further their training and knowledge about heroism and how they're going to become the greatest heroes of all time. And that's where I'm going to leave it off, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy What If Deku Had a Half Air, Half Water Quirk Part 2. I thank you all for watching once again, and remember, What If Deku Had Matter Manipulation is coming out tomorrow. I believe it's Part 6 or 7. I can't really remember, but I thank you all for watching once again, and goodbye!